live.
All right, Chris, if you want to start us off.
I'm ready, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christopher Coretta. I'll be chairing this evening's meeting. I'm an associate real estate broker living in the historic Grove Place Preservation District. I also sit on the executive committee for the Landmark Society of Western New York, as well as serve as a trustee on their board. We're meeting here tonight under extraordinary circumstances due to state and local emergency orders requiring social distancing. We amended the Rochester Preservation Board bylaws to allow us to conduct this hearing as authorized by the governor's and mayor's emergency orders and to waive other requirements in order to proceed with this online hearing. These waivers permit us to hold this hearing by teleconference with no in-person attendance, allow applicant presentations by teleconference, and require all public comments, both in favor of and opposed to the application, to be submitted in writing by email or by hard copy document mailed to the zoning office or deposited in the secure drop box located in the link entrance of City Hall. All written public comments were all required to be submitted by 5 p.m. yesterday. Although this hearing's been altered for some of our normal procedures, many things remain the same. All the normal notifications for this hearing, including mailed notice, publication, and posting of notice, were followed. All the normal timeframes for applicant presentations and comments in favor of and opposed to the application remain the same. And most importantly, this board will hear, review, and make decisions about all the applications with the same diligence and using the same standards as required by the zoning code. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone that when a case is called, the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes to present. The applications are posted on the city website and available for the public to review. All applicants were advised to ensure that their applications were complete and included all information that they intend to present at this hearing tonight. As the application is presented, staff will, as reasonably as possible, show the pages of the application the applicant is addressing. Following our normal procedure, the board members may ask the applicant questions if during the hearing the board determines that substantial new evidence has been submitted by the applicant during the presentation or is given in response to questions by the board. The case will be adjourned to the next announced hearing date to allow the public to review that new evidence and to submit additional comments. After the applicant's presentation is completed, staff will read into the record any comments received after the comment deadline that are not already posted on the city website. There will be no call-in comments. After the comments have been read, the applicant will have 5 minutes to offer any testimony and rebuttal. The board will commence deliberations and voting after the public hearing of each agenda item, with the exception of any applications that are being adjourned. Please also note that if your case is approved today, a written decision will be mailed to you within 15 business days. The decision will inform you of the next steps to complete the approval process. Before we open the case, please note that all members of this board are volunteers. I'd like each of the board members to confirm their presence for purposes of establishing a quorum for this hearing and to introduce themselves and mention their area of expertise. I'll do that in alphabetical order. So we'll start with Debra Beardsley, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Debra Beardsley. I am a designer and a design professor at RIT in the College of Art and Design, and I am a city resident.
Thank you, Deborah. Next would be Isaac Brocker.
Hello, hi, I'm Isaac Brocker. I'm an architect here in Rochester, and I'm a resident of the Browncroft Historic District.
Thank you, Isaac. Next would be Kajana Crawford.
Hi, Kajana Crawford. I am a professor of sociology, anthropology at Rochester Institute of Technology, and I live in the historical Susan B. Anthony Preservation District.
Thank you, Kajana. Next board member in alphabetical order would be Jim Deviney.
I am Jim Deviney. I live in Cornhill in the historic district, and I serve as the Cornhill historian.
Thank you, Jim. Next would be Gerald Gam.
Good evening, everybody. I'm a professor of political science and history at the University of Rochester. I've done a fair amount of research on urban history. I sit on the Board of Trustees of the Landmark Society and live in the East Avenue Preservation District.
Thank you, Gerald. And last but certainly not least would be Kirsten Solberg, who is also our vice chair.
Hello, Kirsten Solberg. I live in the Browncroft neighborhood and I am an architect.
Great. And if we could please have staff introduce themselves. We'll start with Chris Snyder.
I am Chris Snyder, the staff to the Rochester Preservation Board, and I work in the zoning office in City Hall.
Thank you, sir. Tom Worth. Oh, Tom, you're muted.
I am Tom Worth with the City Law Department, providing legal advice to the Preservation Board. And I hand it off to Juan.
Good evening, Juan Linares, support staff to the board under building codes and plan review.
Thank you. And how about Anna Keller?
Hi there, Anna Keller. I'm just helping with the technological components of this evening's hearings.
Great. Thank you, Anna. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Snyder. Did you want to introduce the first agenda item?
Yes, I will. So case one tonight is A-036-20-21 for a certificate of appropriateness. The address is 121 to 125 Park Avenue. And the purpose is to renovate the facade of this 3-story commercial building, including the replacement of existing solid vinyl windows with vinyl clad wood windows. Placement of windows in previously enclosed openings, the construction of an exterior stairwell, exterior lighting, a kiosk, signboard, roofing, and the review of a previously placed air conditioning unit on the west side of the second floor.
And also, Chris, have all the board members visited the site?
Yes, all board members present tonight have visited the site.
Great. Thank you very much. Next, I will administer the oath for anyone who will be speaking on behalf of that case. So I have Randall Peacock. I see that you're there. Hi, Randall. Will anyone else be speaking on behalf of this case?
I don't have anybody else that will be speaking on my side of the project.
All right, great. Then I'll just swear you in. So, Randall Peacock, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do solemnly swear that.
Great. Thank you very much. And we're ready for your presentation, please.
Thanks. I apologize if I pop out. I'm actually in Maui, Hawaii right at the moment. And we'll be leaving at 10:30 tonight to head home, but so this had to happen today. I'm an architect. I've been working in Rochester for 35 years, and this building is owned by Adrian and Jordan Morgenstern and some other folks. They bought it about 4 years ago. There is no legal uses on the second and third floor of the building. It's quite an old building. We believe it was constructed prior to 1870. It's actually one of the oldest buildings on Park Avenue. The first floor was for quite a long time occupied by a hair salon and a small retail operation. There's another retail operation on the Meg Street side. Those have left the building at this point. They're in the process right now of doing interior work for a small office on the Park Avenue side, and a small a bar restaurant will be coming along on the corner of Park and Meg's. So our first challenge with the building was dealing with exiting from the upper floors. They're pretty rough inside. They had not been used for many years. This at one point served as a warehouse for Mangurian's furniture company. That upper second floor area, we believe, was actually probably used for warehousing more than anything else. It's a conglomeration of 3 to 4 buildings. You have the original structure, which stood on the corner of Park and Meg's. It's a 3-story mansard roofed structure. There was a 1-story shed off the back of that with a lean-to roof on it. Then there was what appears to be an outbuilding of some kind, a small stable or garage in the southwest corner of the property. Those were all kind of incorporated together, we believe, sometime in the 20s. With the brick facade that you see towards the rear of the building on the Meg Street side right now. So our first challenge was creating legal exit. I'm sorry, I should jump in and say the plan for this second floor is an artist loft assembly. So small spaces rented to local artists. The building is hampered because it has no parking associated with it. So what the Morgensterns were looking to do is offer workspaces to folks who live in the neighborhood who could walk there and wouldn't necessarily need to have parking spaces in, on site. The first problem that we encountered was exiting from this floor. There have been a bunch of stairs installed and removed through the years. Only one stairway conveniently accesses the exterior. That's the one along the Park Avenue side of the structure, about in the middle of the building. You'll see on that floor plan there on A2, there's another stairway to the right. That doesn't go outside. It's just it's a stair that's been hacked up and is no longer accesses from first to second floor. It does go second to third. And then what we are proposing is on the west side of the building, there would be the construction of a new stairway. There's about a 4.5 foot wide space there between our building, the original exterior wall of the 3-story structure, and the wall of the building next door. I provided you a photograph in there. Hang on, I'm looking back through here to see which one. I think it was photographed stairway along there. I believe this might have been an exterior stair at one time that went up. There's a very original.
Randy, I'm sorry to interrupt. You cut out for a second. Did you reference a specific page?
Yep, photo 3 on page 3.
Okay, so we're looking at page 3 then.
Yeah.
I'll go back to that for you.
You can see in this photo, there's a little bit of a diagonal ghost of a stairway that once was in this
page 3.
area.
So is it the hand numbered page 3? Because I'm looking at page 3 and that's actually the staff report package page.
My number and my report that I provided. There you go. Next. Yeah, right
Okay.
there. That
So it's
photo.
actually hand numbered page 9. For the purposes of this, let's stick to the hand numbered because there's other documents in here, and just for the record,
Okay.
it's easier that way. So
All right.
page 9 of the, yep.
So I'm just going to add 6 to mine because I wasn't able to print out your report at this point in time. But you can see there's a little bit of a dark ghost in there on that wall that follows down through. We believe that might have been an exterior stair at one time. When this building was remodeled sometime in the 20s, there was brick added to the facade. And I believe at that point in time, that little 4 foot wide alleyway was enclosed as to be interior space on the first floor. On the second floor, there's a small original wood door in that wall that went out there. So it looks to me like there was probably an exterior stair that went up to a door there. In any event, this stair location serves us by providing us the proper distance between stairs and giving us another access directly to the exterior, and allowing me then to connect that direct exit all the way up to the third floor so that we can have a direct egress from that third floor down and out of the structure. There was, if I now take you back a page to the what would be your page 8 or hand numbered 8. There is a door at that location right now. You can see that narrow gap between the buildings, the neighboring building to the right, the building and subject building to the left. There's that 4 foot gap. That's where that stair would run up through. So the first 13 or so feet of that remains as just the flat roof. We would be modifying that doorway because I'm providing a new exit. I have to meet the requirements of the building code and the accessibility guidelines or requirements. So that doorway would be dropped to grade. I'm eliminating there about a 6-inch rise and an 11-inch riser and stairs there, taking that down to meet the sidewalk level, and then moving the doorway back in about 6 feet roughly. And that gives me then enough of an alcove in there that I can swing the door outwards in the direction of egress travel. It doesn't swing over the property line. And I provide my new access point to a stair. The stair then goes into that, rises up through there. There's a short area of concrete block wall and roofing that covers it. From the photograph here, this photograph was taken across the street. You would see maybe about a foot of the top of that roof in that view. And then on that same facade on Park Avenue, there's another main entrance to the building right now, which is a 2 double doors, aluminum doors. Oh, I'm sorry, I should go back. The proposal is a medium style aluminum door. It's about a 3-inch wide style, dark bronze aluminum, 6.5-inch bottom rail on it. The idea is that that being recessed off the street, it provides for security. It's glass. Somebody exiting the building could see if there's somebody out there when they're leaving or choose to go out a different route out of the building. And that space would be illuminated with a light that you don't see, just a ceiling light in there that would provide some illumination within that alcove. Immediately now headed to the east of that is the main entrance to the building. There's a pair of double doors there. Those doors are 3.0 doors. They swing outward and they actually swing out about 8 inches over the top stair riser. That's considered to be a dangerous situation. What we're proposing to do there is just relocate those existing doors backward into the building about 10 inches or so that they don't swing over that top stair riser. The stair at some point in the past was clad with a very slippery glazed ceramic tile. We're proposing to use a 6x6 mineral surface quarry tile there that will give us a little bit better, surer footing on those existing steps. And then the sidewalls on this entryway and the sidewalls on the entryway for the new stair to the west there would be clad with a tongue and groove beaded board wood that'll be painted a dark brown color to blend in with the brick on the building. And that's the last item there on the front would be a couple of lights I've proposed. Look for something not historically bent there. Light fixtures are transient. They can easily be replaced or moved. We were proposing a light fixture that's 8 inches wide by 20 inches tall that would mount where those carriage lamps are on the building right now. And then lastly, the mansard roof needs to be re-roofed. Our proposal there is to use material that looks like a slate. It's called Highland slate and a black color. We would maintain the existing metal work on the corners and there's a small half moon decorative piece of metal at the very peak of those mansard corners. That would all stay in place, and we're simply just replacing that roofing material on that facade. And that's the extent of that. So coming around the side, Chris, you may want to flip ahead to what would be page 10. Your page 10. Yeah, that's good right there. This view is the south end of the Meg Street facade. You can see the second floor there. There's 3 window openings. Those windows are really out of sync with the rest of the building, and we're trying to add some more windows to be able to break this up into smaller studio spaces on that upper floor. What we're proposing there is the addition of 4 more windows in a regular orderly pattern across that upper level. Those windows would be an Anderson 400 series window. It's a good traditional double hung looking window. The new openings would be cut into the brick and would be fabricated with a Rolox sill, just like you see the existing windows, and trimmed out just to match those existing. And then those 3 existing windows in that part of the building would be replaced with the same Anderson windows. We chose white because all of the rest of those upper floor windows in the building are white. And at this point in time, we don't have plans to replace the windows on the original 3-story portion of the building on the front. In this photo that you're looking at, we're not proposing any changes to that small leasehold in the rear, which consists of the boarded up window with the AC unit, the entrance, the sign, and the window to the right. If you move over farther towards the right, you'll see there's like a little arched area there. That's kind of the main entrance off of Park Avenue. a really an odd situation there. That surround is just painted plywood that's been stuck on the face. Somebody back in the 70s or 80s must have done that. Our proposal here is to remove all of that, actually cut in a new opening. It's a very strange door. It's about a 6'4" door back there, aluminum door. We would match the height or the head of that window to the left of it and cut a new opening in there. And we also, at that location, because that door swings outward directly over stairs right in the right of way, that would have to be pushed back in as well. So that would be a similar look to what we've done on the front. A medium style, dark bronze aluminum door in a storefront system. I would have one flush door, which I gave you a cut sheet for, just painted a dark brown color. That would be on the north side of that, which will access a small trash storage area. And then the quarry tile would be used on the stairs at that location as well. You can see, I think, Chris, if you go ahead one more page. There we go. You can see again on the left side of that photo, that plywood surround. In the drawings I provided you, we are proposing a tenant ID sign to be mounted on that brick area between the original cast iron storefront you see to the right and that storefront or that plywood area on the left. So there's that's an example. Yeah, that's an example of a sign similar to what we're planning on doing here. Would be mounted on that wall. And then lastly, I have two light fixtures. These are very nondescript, I'll call them stalk mounted sign lights to illuminate that entrance. I just find this personal opinion here, I find the gooseneck lamps a little cloying at this point. This is a very simple, clean, modern looking, that's the light fixture right there, just a modern looking light fixture, sticks out about 24 inches off the building and will illuminate that entrance area and that sign below. Again, just a dark bronze color on that.
And for the record, this light fixture is on page 39.
It is indeed. And then, so if we go back to page 12, I think on yours, that's the very corner area. I've got a couple of those new windows go in that second floor where that available sign is now. I think one of them goes there actually. And then that rhythm goes back to the original windows in the mansard area. And then that roofing gets replaced with that Highland slate black roofing on the upper level there. So let's see, on page 11, I'm sorry, page 13, one more ahead. That's just a photograph there that shows you what those existing window openings look like. It's got about a 2.5 inch wide wood trim on it, painted a red color that matches the brick and the Rolex sill. And that we'd just be recreating that same look. One more page ahead. That's the south elevation of the building. This elevation or this facade sits on an interior property line. You'll see that we have proposed some new window openings on that side. Some of those are in existing masonry openings that have been blocked in. Others would be cut into the existing walls. You can actually see on that building the original outbuilding on the left side, and then that 1920s infill on the right side with the cinder block wall and the brick facade along Meg Street. Those windows are proposed at this point. I believe my clients are still negotiating with the neighboring owner on an easement to permit them to install those windows because they're on an interior property line. So there has to be some control on the neighboring property. So that's a possible no-go if that can't be arranged. But they would be similar to the windows on the front, the same Anderson 400 series in a white with in those openings. And then one more page onward. This is the back, the west facade, the south end of the west facade. Same situation there. It's an interior property line wall sitting right on the property line. You can see there are some original openings in that wall. Once again, we're proposing to install some windows, and you'll see on the elevation drawings, there are some going into the original window openings and some into window openings that we're creating there. These new openings are being proposed where there's no adjacent building. That's for both the south side and the west side. The buildings are too close once you get where the adjacent buildings are located. And you can see the adjacent building in this particular photograph right there. It's a wood frame structure towards the rear of the two-story or three-story brick structure on Park Ave. Last but not least, I know this caused some consternation. I think if you flip ahead one more page there, I took a Google Earth shot. This shows you that little 4-foot wide alcove, the bottom photograph on that. There's walls up there. Those walls are currently clad with a mineral surface asphalt roofing material. That roofing material, it's bulged out. It's got a wood substrate underneath it. What we're proposing to do there is clean that area up by removing all of that existing. Actually, I think if you flip ahead one more, you can see there's on the right side of that. It's kind of a difficult spot to photograph up in there, but there's some of that roofing material there. What we're proposing to do with that is take it off, use a traditional material, a galvanized corrugated metal siding. Was often used in light wells and areaways in urban buildings. That would be painted a dark brown color. It would cover those walls in that area. I show this to you. This is an area that no one sees. I think there might be 1 or 2 windows in the adjacent building that are going to look out to see that. And then the new landing for the stair that we started the presentation with would come up just underneath that corbelled brick cornice that you see on the left side of that roofing on the building right here. I wanted to leave the cornice in place, and it just has a small flat roof area. It would just be a concrete block, a bare block like the areas you saw on other parts of the building here. And that provides us access into that second floor and then gives us access up to the third floor. Those are the proposed changes to the building at this point in time.
Okay, well, thank you for a great proposal. Great presentation. There was a lot there, and you did it in just in the 15-minute range, so thank you. We will take this around to the board members for any questions.
Sure.
And we will start with Debra Beardsley. Deborah, do you have any questions for Randall?
I think this was a pretty thorough presentation. It's going to be a great upgrade for this building and its uses. Randy, I had one question, if you could, and maybe I'm just missing it and not seeing it again within my packet, but I'd like to see a cut sheet for the roofing that you mentioned.
For it's in there for the slate, Highland slate.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I did see
Yeah.
that. Okay. Thank you. And did you mention what color you are?
It's a
proposing?
black. It's on the left hand on that sheet right
Yeah.
there. That
Can
Kristen-
we just
32.
say what page we are on the record? So that,
Yep, I'm saying them now.
Okay.
Page 32 is where the color is listed, and it's Highland Slate Roofing, starting on page 28.
Okay. And is that also the pattern and
Yes. Yes.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's my only question for now. Thank you.
The timber framing of that mansard is very heavy, so I'm assuming from that this was originally clad with a slate roof on that. So I wanted to do something that at least evoked that original slate roof on that part of the structure.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Deborah. Isaac Brocker, any questions for Randy?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So on the windows you're planning on adding on the second floor, you mentioned the cutouts. Were you planning on, at the jam locations, are you planning on toothing in some of the salvaged brick?
How could you do it any other way? Of course, yes. Yes.
Okay. And I believe the existing aluminum storefront on the Park Avenue side, that's remaining?
Yes, correct.
And did you look at any other options for entry doors other than the aluminum storefront?
There were existing aluminum storefront in there that we're trying to be somewhat conservative cost-wise that we wanted to reuse. I don't like to use the lighter weight storefront doors. So that's why we propose those aluminum doors. I think it's important to have a full glass, like I mentioned, because of the alcoves. You want to be able to see that area. Plus, you want to be able to see in the building and through those areas. And I felt that this was the most in keeping with modern commercial practice there, rather than trying to do a wood door in those areas. My experience with wood doors is they're very difficult to maintain. I can show you some beautiful mahogany doors I did on the now demolished Mama San's restaurant. If you don't stay on them every year, they tend to go sour pretty quickly and look worse than if you would just do the aluminum door frames in those areas.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. I would be next in line, but I have no questions. Mine have already been answered. Thank you. Kajana Crawford, any questions for Randy?
Just one clarification, the air conditioning, you are totally eliminating that. You're not putting it anywhere else.
It's possible they'll put it back in on the roof. If they do, on the roof in the back, so that you don't actually see it from the street anywhere. It's not our plan to put it back there. And I should also mention, there is in John Lembach's letter to the board, he mentioned there is a B vent that runs up the side of the building, and that's no longer in operation. So that B vent will come off of there as well. So you won't see that anymore in there.
Okay, thank you for a very comprehensive proposal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Kajana. Next would be Jim DeVinny. Any questions for Randy?
I have no questions at this time.
Thank you, sir. Gerald Gamm, any questions?
I do. I have a couple of questions. And Randy, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us in the middle of your vacation.
Well, it's actually the very end of my vacation, so it's a good jump start to get back into it. So,
and I just want to say, how excited I am about this project, the work that you're doing and the Morgensterns are doing. Chris, can you show the east facade?
Do you have the page number?
You're moving so fast.
probably going to be like 10 or.
It was just one or two.
Did you want to see the photo or the drawing?
The photo.
The photo. Okay. So that would be
right. It was just one or two over from where we started.
Yeah, 10, 11, or 12 would show you that east facade.
Yeah, so we're looking at 11 now.
10. Go to 10.
10? Okay.
Yes.
So we're looking at 10.
Yes. Okay, so my question is about that air conditioning unit and the boarded up window underneath it.
Yes.
Am I right that that the plan is to do nothing, to leave the boarded up area and the air conditioning unit?
Yeah, that was an existing leasehold, and the owners did not want to make any changes to that at this point in time.
Okay, so my first question relates to that boarded up window and air conditioning unit. What the owners are doing to the structure is really exciting, and just bringing to life a critical commercial structure for the Park Avenue neighborhood. That boarded up window is an eyesore, and I think will be even more of an eyesore once the rest of the building is rehabilitated. Given, as Isaac pointed out, all the brick that's being salvaged, why not take that brick and brick up that opening with the same brick that's used for the rest of the side, if it's the decision to keep it a wall rather than turn it back into a window? That's my first question. Given that that's an eyesore, why not just take that brick and brick up the opening?
I think there's two approaches to that. Number one, I think it's a lot easier to cut a new window in and make it look original than it is to brick in an existing opening and make it look like it was the original wall without hiding, or with it just, you get a different color mortar. It just never works out right. Our intent was that was an existing part of the building, and tenants come and tenants go. At a future point in time, when that tenant left, we would address that particular situation there. I'm always dealing with a structure like this, you always have that, well, how much, here's the plans that we're putting forward. And that wasn't in the plans at this present time. You're certainly within your rights to make suggestions or requirements wherever you would like that to go.
Yeah, so I will just say it troubles me, given all the other work that's being done on the structure. This is one of the two sides that could be visible to everybody.
I don't disagree with you.
I could easily support a decision to return that to being a window. I could easily support a decision that says we want that to be a wall, but to leave it boarded up and painted over just seems strange in the context of all the other work.
I understand.
Okay, so that was my first question. Second question is about the windows. So all the other, I don't know, trim on the doors and the storefronts is, what is the word? Anodized dark bronze?
On the commercial first floor level, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as I looked at the building, everything is brick or bronze, except for these new windows that are going in that will be white. So why not do those windows with the same bronze color that's being used everywhere else in the structure?
The only reason I didn't do that at this point is because we're not planning on doing the second floor windows on the front 3-story portion of the building. And, I could go either way on that. They could be bronze. You would just have that different look with those windows towards the front. So that's fine with me either way that went. I mean, if you wanted to make that a condition of an approval, I'm not going to argue with you about it.
Okay. Only other question is about the lighting. You described gooseneck fixtures as cloying, and yet the fixtures you've chosen seem very modern and potentially out of character for the building. Are there any other sorts of fixtures that you might consider?
I couldn't hand you out right at the moment a different fixture. I mean, honestly, the reason we went with the fixtures that we did on the Meg Street side is that they're very nondescript. And light fixtures are transient items. They can be pulled off and replaced very simply. If someone changes their tastes in the future, you put a different light fixture on it. I'm always one that's hesitant when I'm doing historic work like this to try to mimic a historic light fixture. I don't think that really falls well into the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines on alterations and renovations of historic structures. I can't mimic. I mean, if we wanted to go back and say, okay, this is 1870, theoretically, I should put gas lamps on the outside of this building. So, it's a matter of, here's one modern element that I'm looking to blend in with the existing structure.
Okay, so last question, then I'm done. So we're looking at page 10, and I'm still thinking about that boarded up window opening. On the Meg Street side, the Park Avenue side, is there any other part of those buildings that isn't being rehabilitated? Anything else that's currently boarded up that's not going to be repaired? Any other windows or doors not being repaired, or is this the only piece on those two sides?
That's the only piece. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
The existing storefront all stays as it is. We did do some consultations. There was originally some discussion. You'll notice, Chris, if you go ahead two pages, you can see there's some brick panels there that are a different color. Those were actually infills on window openings and a door opening that I believe was done in the 40s. It stands proud of the brick on the second floor. Our Sarah Linda Hooker, our preservation consultant we talked with early on here, had said, no, don't take those out because they're more than 50 years old. They're generally considered to be part of the historic structure and fabric of the building and tell the story of the building as it evolved. So that, that storefront, those windows, there's actually one original window left in there. You can see it in that elevation right there. I think it's the one to the far left. Is an original wood frame window that's still remaining in there. So yeah, the building has certainly seen its transformations through the years.
Anyways, yeah, no, it's a really exciting project. You've done a really nice job.
Thanks.
Working it through and explaining it to us. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you, Gerald. Next would be Kirsten Solberg. Any questions?
Well, first of all, thank you for a very, very thorough application. I apologize if I missed this, but the windows to remain, those existing windows are vinyl, according to the application?
I believe they're vinyl, yes. Yeah. I say that, I tapped on them. Believe me, it was freezing cold up there. They were very hard and plastic sounding. There is a possibility they might be an aluminum window, but they are in no way an original window to this structure.
Okay. Well, my only question to follow that up was, typically we do approve the Anderson 400 windows. I'm just thinking with the aluminum storefront, did you consider an aluminum window being the commercial property? Because I just generally tend to associate the Anderson 400 with more of a residential property.
Yes, but the nature of this building having been constructed in 1870, those would have all been double hung windows on that upper floor, and they would have been wood double hung windows. And that Anderson 400 has a profile that's very similar to an older type of double hung. It's about 1.25 inches. I think it's 1 3/8 on the stiles and rails. So it looks very traditional. And my personal feeling is that this building should stay more true in those upper floors should stay more true to the original. The lower floor has been converted into this commercial space, and it seemed to work with that. So the answer
the profile.
No, I
Okay.
prefer not to use an aluminum window up there.
Okay, thank you.
And we do want the windows to be operable as well, and that's that's a big part of this. So
Sure. I think my other questions have been answered, so thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, board members. If no one else has any further questions, we'll go over to Chris Snyder. And if there's any public testimony, Chris, if you wanted to put that into the record, please.
Yes, thank you, Chris. There is public testimony. Let me get
I
there.
just promoted the person that we have present with us this evening to the meeting.
Okay, perfect. So this letter comes from the Park Megs Neighborhood Association, John Lembach. John is actually going to speak, so maybe the time is better spent for that. John, would you like me to read anything, or do you just want to speak on the record? Is he here yet?
I'm trying to
Is that what you
unmute.
said? Oh, there you are.
Okay. I largely agree, and the board largely agrees with the comments made by the board members so far at this point. We only had a few.
Wait, we need to swear people in there speaking.
Yeah.
John.
I'll do that. Thank you. John, I'm sorry. John Lembeck, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
If you wouldn't mind starting over again, thank you.
Okay. This is one of the oldest commercial buildings on Park Avenue, if not the oldest. We're not certain at this point. And it's had a variety of uses over the time. It's all been low scale commercial. It was one of the original places for making Garian's furniture before they went to their mega store on Monroe Avenue and then expanded into the suburbs. Since the mid 60s, it's been largely unused, except for a hair salon and a couple small mom and pop businesses, which we dearly miss, but we like to see the place be reoccupied to some extent anyway. We think the changes being proposed are sensible and reasonable and largely in keeping with the building. The only ones we really had a concern about were the light fixtures. They're just too stark and modern. There have been other light fixtures approved on the avenue in the last 3 years and much more in keeping with the traditional nature of this 1870s, 1900 neighborhood. And the other one is board member Gam mentioned there is whether to brick in that window or open it up again. We think that's a bit of an eyesore out there. We do appreciate the fact they're going to remove the B vent on the side. That's a glaring error there, and the rest of it should work out pretty well. We don't have any further suggestions other than a little nitpicking here and there on the for discussion purposes. But I did tour the building in June. I did get to see the third floor on the interior. There is quite a row of our arched windows facing Park Avenue that unfortunately will not be opened up at this time, but we would encourage, as we did then, to have that third floor made more usable. The original window frames are still in place, and I don't believe that's that hard to get replacement window sashes for that area up there. So should that come up in the future, that's something to keep in mind. Other than that, the neighborhood association is very enthusiastic about this application and like to see it go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Randy, I'm sorry, Chris Snyder, any further?
I just want to note that the letter was submitted March 2nd, and that also all public testimony for tonight's, all public written testimony for tonight's hearing must have been submitted yesterday, March 2nd by 5 p.m.
Thank you. If you have no further public testimony, Randy, if you'd like to rebut anything that was said, completely up to you. You don't have to, but you have the right to if you'd like.
Well, no, I mean, those existing lights that are there, if it would save my client probably $1,500 to leave those existing lights in place. And, if you're of an opinion that those are not appropriate, that's fine with me. Yeah, I think that's about all I would add to that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Back to Chris Snyder, if you wanted to close the case and put up the deliberations, that would be great.
So so that closes the public testimony portion for this case. We're now going to go into deliberations. During deliberations, there is no comment or interaction with the general public or the applicant. Board members will have discussed the case and vote.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So we'll start with Deborah Beardsley. What are your comments, your thoughts, your feelings on this application, please?
Hi, Chris. I think it's a very thorough application, as I said before, and it's going to be an excellent upgrade for this building. I appreciate the various uses that they're targeting and speaking about. I agree with most of the decisions. I also agree that the one window that has been discussed for either opening up or infilling, that's a challenge. And I understand what Randy meant about how successful it might be in filling that window, that it's not going to be guaranteed 100% that it will blend in. So I'd be more in favor of opening up that one window. And I also agree on what other board members have stated opinions about the lighting. I think the proposed light fixtures are too modern.
How do you feel about, I think Gerald had mentioned anodized finishes throughout. How do you feel either way with that?
Anodized versus white, you mean?
Yes.
I don't have a strong opinion about that. I'd like to hear what the architects have to say. And I think that either way, there are reasons to go in either direction that would match and coordinate with aspects of the building.
Okay, thank you very much. Isaac Bacher, what are your thoughts?
I think I actually disagree with the applicant on the what Deborah just mentioned about the infilling the window and it not looking like it's going to it could blend it. I think what I've seen a lot historically, when you see windows that have been bricked in, they essentially take the plane and recess the plane of the brick back, so that you still see the perimeter of where the original window was, but then it's clearly infilled. So I think it could go either way in terms of if the tenant in the space needs the window, I think it could be opened up, or I think it could successfully be done by bricking in and just recessing the plane of the brick back to kind of celebrate the fact that there used to be a window there.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I agree, all your other comments, Deborah, I agreed with as well. In terms of the lights, though, I thought I could make a case for doing something more modern, but I think the particular fixtures that were selected were not quiet enough. They were a little bit too. I mean, I could list off some manufacturers, but I think there's some light fixture manufacturers that could be more simply done, that are more like just clean lined and more closer to the building that I would approve. I don't necessarily love the fixtures that were being proposed. And in terms of the color of the windows on the second floor, I think matching the bronze would be nice. It would give some contrast to the brick. I think that what's there now where they're painted, I think on the Park Avenue side, I believe they were painted to match the brick. I think sometimes it's more successful when the windows, the color of the window sashes pop more against the brick. So I think that having that bronze color would help to allow that to pop more. But all in all, I think the renovations that are being proposed are very appropriate, and I'm excited to see, as I walk by this building all the time, I'm really excited to see this building come to life again.
Great, thank you. I'd be next. I would support this the way it sits. I can go either way with the window as well as the anodized finishes, but I think it's a great project. I think you did a great job on it, Randy. And I'd like to hear what the rest of my colleagues have to say. Kajana?
I don't have too much to add. I can go either way. It's not a deal breaker for me in terms of the windows, okay? Although that bronze, would make it pop, okay? But it's not a deal breaker for me. A little more attention to that light, okay? Because I think it's just a little too modern, and it may even take away from the character of the overall building, just seeing that light there. But again, it's not a deal breaker.
Thanks, Kajana. Jim DeVinny?
I think this is a great project. I mean, I love the building. I love the proposal. It has so many facets to it that it was hard for me to get my head around it because it was just enormous. And so I really enjoyed the presentation tonight. I thought it was very informative and even somewhat entertaining. As pertains to some of the things that have been questioned tonight, yeah, I'm not in love with the lights that are proposed. I don't know what else would go in there that would maintain any period design, but there's just something about the lights that do seem to stand out a little too much from the building and alter the style a little bit. I like Isaac's suggestion about infilling that window with the recessed bricks, and that sounds to me quite charming. And as he says, it's something that could be reopened at a future time, but now it kind of honors the past by showing where the window was, even though the window is no longer necessary in that particular spot. As far as the second floor white painted windows, I can live with that. That's the second floor, and it seems that it could work for me. So those are my only reactions. The rest of the proposal, I just think is fabulous, and I really applaud this fellow for what he has proposed here.
Great, thank you, Jim. And Gerald Gam.
So I agree with the general tenor of the discussion. This is a fantastic proposal. This is one of the oldest and most important commercial buildings on Park Avenue. And it's just genuinely exciting to see the work that is being proposed for this building. So on the three things we're discussing, first, the second story windows. The second story windows are being proposed right now to be white. There is no other white trim on the Meg's facade, and the only white trim on the building are the second floor windows on the Park Avenue facade. And the only argument we've heard for keeping them white is because we already have the white windows on the Park Avenue side. I would argue very strongly that we should condition our approval on these being anodized bronze windows, which will give a uniform look to the Meg's facade and will create a precedent for when the windows on the Park Avenue side are replaced, that those windows one day too will also be bronze anodized. I think otherwise the white trim just isn't in keeping with the rest of the structure. So I haven't heard an argument for the white other than that was originally in the proposal. So I would condition approval on making those bronze anodized. Light fixtures, I agree with Isaac. I could be persuaded that a contemporary light fixture makes sense, but the ones that are proposed, I think, are just they project too much, and I think they contrast too much with the historic nature of the building. So I would not approve this light fixture. I would approve either one that was traditional looking or a contemporary one that was softer and called less attention to itself. And then finally, the third thing that we're discussing is the one area on the park and Meg's facade that wasn't planned for any kind of renovation, which is the boarded up window all the way to the left. I'm sorry, on the east facade, all the way on the left on the east facade. I feel strongly that we should condition our approval on that boarded up window being replaced, either being replaced as Isaac suggests with brick infill. And I love the idea of the infill being recessed a few inches so we see the ghost of the old window, or being replaced with a window that matches all the other windows on the east facade. But I think it would be a shame for us to approve this proposal and to leave a boarded up window, just boarded up with plywood and painted over on the east facade.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And Kirsten Solberg.
Oh boy. First, I guess the window, I understand what's being said, but this is a vinyl window. It can't be an anodized bronze. It's vinyl. You know, it's not metal. So unless we're painting it a brown color, it's not going to be anodized. I just want to make sure that that's understood, unless I'm missing something here. My only defense for it to be white is that it is a different material. We have aluminum storefront on the ground floor, and then, as we keep saying, there's commercial, and then there's the upper program, and that it's a different character. So celebrate that for being different than what is going on downstairs, and it would match the front of the building. So that would be my argument. I think that the white makes sense in that context, that it is not an aluminum window. The lights, for me, I'm okay with them. Just to be clear, the light that we're calling modern is the one that's not on the primary facade, and I believe it's just a single fixture. There's another fixture in the project that's proposed, and those are two more subtle fixtures. So I just want to make sure that we're clear with which fixture we're talking about. Are we talking about both or just one? I think I personally am okay with a modern fixture, especially if it's a dark bronze. I think it's actually going to be, it won't really stand out all that much, especially on the non-primary facade. So all in all, I'm personally okay with the proposal as it stands. I think everything else makes sense from the location of the light. The stair for egress purposes, the inset of the door, the roof, I think it all makes sense. Yeah, this, from what I understand, is only going to be used one time on the non-primary facade.
This is the fixture. Sorry,
Yeah.
This is the fixture on page 39.
That will replace the gooseneck that's currently on that facade. There's two other fixtures that would be flanking the main entrance, and that's almost a fixture that almost replicates what's already there. It took me a while to kind of.
Kirsten, you don't know what page those other fixtures are on, do you?
They're in the packet. I missed them at first too, and I had to dive back in through them. There, right there.
So this is the look that we get. It's sort of a drawing
Right.
of the.
That's the necked fixture isn't going to go on either side of the main entrance.
Right.
I just want to
This
make
is
sure
page
that we were all
35. This
clear.
fixture. Yep.
I think that's a pretty subtle fixture.
Yeah, actually,
It is.
Kirsten, I hadn't noticed that. I really appreciate you calling that to our attention.
Kirsten, I apologize. Did you address the window?
The upstairs window?
The window we were talking about proposing.
Yeah, I think Isaac's suggestion is great. I just am a little bit uncomfortable, and this might be a Tom question, about asking them to extend the scope of their project on our whim. I don't know if we can do that. It just wasn't part of their original scope of work.
Yeah, it's okay. Even architects said it would be acceptable, but
Okay.
Regardless, you can impose when we're altering, all side, or that side of the building. You can impose as conditions of approving the other work that replacement or bricking in that you're contemplating at this one window.
Okay. Then I would support it in that case.
Okay.
And then I guess based on all of our conversations, it sounds like the upper window color is really what's in. I mean, I think the architect has heard our comments, and I would trust them to make the right decision, what they think is the right decision. We usually don't dictate paint color, so.
Board members, Kirsten, were you done? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Board members, how did you feel about Kirsten's proposal in general? If we were to someone were giving me a motion like that, because there are a couple of differences in what was going on.
Well, so I'll speak. It sounds like we've pretty much converged on what to do with the boarded up window, to ask them to either make it a window or to brick it in with recess. On the upper windows, so I mean, if I were in the room with Kirsten, I'd look at Kirsten right now and I'd say, hear what you're saying about the white windows and treating the second story different from the first story. My concern is that all the other trim, all the doors, the storefronts, everything else is dark. And that therefore you have the brick and you have all this beautiful dark, off most of it metal. And I sort of just want the second story windows to blend in with the rest of the building and not call attention to themselves. And I worry that the bright white outline of the second story windows calls too much attention to those windows.
Would you propose painting the windows?
I would propose that they be brown, whether that's anodized or it's painted vinyl. I would propose that they be the same color as all the trim on the first story.
And what I'm saying is they can't be anodized because they are vinyl.
Right. No, and I hear you.
And
right.
I guess maybe I agree with Gerald on all the points so far, but I guess when I was talking initially about the color of when I was talking about the color of the window, I was assuming, like, I can't imagine that these windows only come in white. They have to come. Okay. I'm assuming that they come in other colors. So yeah, I wasn't insinuating that they were going to be anodized aluminum.
Okay.
More that the color would.
I can go either way, frankly. It was just.
Okay. Okay. Then I think we touched on all the points. Is that correct?
Except one light fixture.
Well, the way I interpreted what Kirsten said was, if the one light fixture, didn't bother her, I could go either way. I don't think everything has to be matchy-matchy. I kind of like a little bit of a bit of a change, as far as the light fixture is concerned. Deborah, what were your thoughts on the light fixture?
And we are talking about the single light fixture?
The single, yes, that's right.
On the Meg's side of the property, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. I don't mind a more modern or contemporary look, but I think there are very likely other light fixtures that would look better and would be softer for that side of the building.
Okay.
I think it feels a little harsh and a little almost futuristic. It just stands out more than it needs to, and style-wise.
Okay. Then, would someone like to give me? I guess we could just vote on it.
Could I just remind everyone? I mean, one option that the applicant suggested was not putting that fixture in and leaving the existing one. Mm-hmm. So there might be the option of, I mean, that's just one that he suggested if people weren't satisfied with that replacement fixture, that it could leave.
I was going to make the suggestion that Tom is making, that we for now don't approve that one light fixture and just ask them to leave the old one in place. And if they want a different fixture, they can come back.
Okay. Yeah. Then let's go with a motion with those items. Gerald?
I would be happy to do that. So this is case number 1, file number A-036-20-21. The address is 121-125 Park Avenue. The request is to renovate the facade of the 3-story commercial building, including the replacement of windows, placement of windows in previously enclosed openings, the construction of exterior stairwell, exterior lighting, a kiosk signboard, roofing, and the review of an air conditioning unit. that we approve the application as made to the board with 3 conditions. First, that we not approve a new light fixture for the Meigs Street side. That we instead require, absent new application, that the existing light fixture remained, or one incredibly close in design to the existing light fixture. 2, that the boarded up window on the Meigs Street side must be replaced either with a new window to match the 2nd-story windows, or by using the salvaged brick to infill the boarded up window and infill it at a recess so that the original window location is visible. And 3rd, that the new windows going in on the 2nd floor of the Meigs Street side have brown borders to match in color, if not in material, the anodized bronze on the 1st floor.
Second.
A motion has been properly made by Gerald Gamm and properly seconded by Deborah Beardsley. I'll call out each member.
Can I just hold up and just check with Chris Snyder to see if he's got what he needs to?
Yes, I'm
okay.
Comfortable with this.
Okay.
Thanks.
So thank you, Tom.
A lot of stuff going on here.
There is a lot of stuff going on there. It's a complicated project.
I tried to talk slowly.
So I will call each member and let me know if it's yay or nay for the motion. So we will start with Deborah Beardsley. Do you vote yay or nay for the motion?
I vote yay.
Deborah Beardsley votes yay. Isaac Brocker.
Yay.
Isaac Brocker votes yay. Christopher Coretta, that would be me. I vote yay for the motion. Kajana Crawford.
I vote yay.
And Kajana Crawford votes yay for the motion. Jim Deviney.
Yay.
That's yay, Jim?
Yay. As in yes.
Thank you. Jim Deviney votes yay. And Gerald Gamm?
I vote yay.
Gerald Gamm votes yay. And Kirsten Solberg?
Yay.
Kirsten Solberg votes yay. So that would be a unanimous 7 votes. Thank you very much, Randall. And that would close the first case. And Chris Snyder, whenever you're ready, take your time. You call the second case, please.
All right, thanks, Chris. The second case, case 2A-037 for 20 Dartmouth Street, is to remove 2 sliding glass doors at the rear addition of this single-family home and to infill the eastern side of the addition to match the existing exterior building walls and finishes, and to install an exterior composite wood window at the north wall of this addition. All board members present have visited the site.
Great. Thank you very much. I believe Paul, I'm sorry, I don't want to ruin your name, Paul. Paul Randazisi, are you with us?
Yep.
Okay,
can you
great.
hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
Paul, I just need to swear you in. Paul Randazisi, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much.
I believe Kelly Cheadle is also with us. Is Kelly going to speak, Paul?
Yeah, I'm sure she'll want to.
Okay, great. We're happy to swear her in as well. Kelly Cheadle, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. And if you're both ready, we are ready for your presentation.
Paul, do you want to start or do you want me to dig in?
It's up to you. I'm sort of here. How about you go ahead? I'm just here for your support and any questions, of course, or anything.
All right, perfect. Okay, so thank you all for taking a look at our presentation tonight. This is for the property at 20 Dartmouth Street. Essentially, we are looking to install a bathroom on the first floor, which will require the removal of 2 sliding glass doors at the rear addition of the single family home and to infill the eastern side of the addition to match the exterior of the building and to install a single exterior composite wood window at the north wall of the addition. If you want to go to page 5, you can take a look at the front and the rear of the building. The renovation will occur on the back of the building. If you look at the deck on the right-hand side, there is a one of the sliding glass doors right there. Is the one that would be removed. There's also another one adjacent to it, which you can see on page 7. So on page 7, I've done a photo rendering of what the, approximation of what the window infill would look like. I'm cranky about things lining up and matching. So I know Paul will do his best to make sure that that siding matches the existing siding. Otherwise, he's going to have a very cranky person on the phone. And then if you go to page 8, you'll see, the removal of a rendering of what the removal of the second sliding glass door would look like. And you'll see that the existing sliding glass door that will remain lines up with the existing window on the second floor, which is nice. And there is a light fixture that is on that frame that will also remain. The window that will be going in place of the sliding glass door, if you want to go back to the previous page, is let's see, on page 14, the Anderson 400 series window, which is a composite exterior window. It's wood on the interior. The exterior is clad with, hold on one second, I even looked it up because I heard you guys discussing at the beginning. Fibrex is Anderson's patented PVC wood composite material that it uses for a majority of its windows now. By weight, Fibrex is composed of 40% recycled ponderosa pine wood fibers and 60% polyvinyl chloride. And it was their way of reusing sawdust, apparently, so bonus. And it also wears and weathers a lot better than just a straight wood window. So the window should look good from the exterior for a long time. And the shape of the window, the profile of it would match more closely the existing exterior double hung windows. Let me just go back to my thing here. If you go to page 13, you can see there is a little detail on the existing cedar shakes. Again, I will bug Paul to make sure that exists continuously across the side of the building. And that's, compared to the previous presentation. Paul, did I miss anything that you think they might be curious to hear?
I don't think so. I think you've got it pretty much covered.
Okay.
I'll just quickly say that we feel that we are allies to this board. We are in complete agreement by nature as to what the board's intentions are around preservation. Most of the work that I do, I put a lot of effort into making things look like there was never a change and that it was always the way it was built from the beginning. So I just simply say that both Kelly and I are as interested as the board is in this coming out historically accurate and in keeping with the building.
And that's part of the reason that we sought out Paul to begin with, was because of the level of work that he's produced previously. And this is a lovely home, and we want to make sure that it it looks the way that it does for the next 100 years.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that great presentation. Kelly, I don't know if you heard me during the pre-meeting, but I'm a real estate broker and I showed your house when you bought it. It's a beautiful place. It's a Claude Bragdon. Yes. And I'll just personally say that I think what you're doing is great. But we're going to open it up to questions for the board members, and we're going to start with Kirsten. Kirsten, any questions for the applicant?
I don't have any questions. I think it's pretty straightforward, and I agree with the materials and what has been proposed.
Thank you. Gerald Gam, any questions?
A statement, then 2 questions. Statement is, I love this house and I love this project. So I'm completely in support of everything that's being done here. My first question is, I don't know if it's for Paul or for Kelly. Do you know what type of cedar is currently on the house? And are you able to get the same type of cedar shingles for the replacement shingles? Is it red cedar? Is it yellow?
I have not investigated it enough to know. We will do that when we remove what we need to remove. I'm going to be looking around to get the same, because I don't want to be trying to make something match that's going to be difficult to match, but I can get either of those cedars.
Okay, good. That honestly, that's the answer I was hoping you'd offer, that you're going to take the shingles off and see what they are and make sure you're matching them. Okay, that was question one. Question two of my three questions now. Is the downspout moving? If I look on page 7.
Yes, the downspout, and that was indicated in the notes. I apologize, I didn't declare that. The downspout would have to move to accommodate, or likely have to move to accommodate the window.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so my third question, it sounds as if your plan for the window is that if you step back a few feet, that it will look like every other double hung window on your house that's not a fancy window, that it will have trim the same thickness and exactly the same style trim, that the sills will be the same as other sills. The only reason I'm asking that, I think that your intent is that in the digital rendering, obviously the trim here is much thicker than we're seeing on other windows. The glass area is much smaller. I'm assuming that's just the product of the digital rendering, that the intent is that this window, every aspect of it, including the trim, including the sill, be the same width and visually look just like the other windows. Is that correct?
Correct. And the intent is to kind of mirror the adjacent window as far as height and, so you have a continuous line kind of going around that base.
Okay, so it will mirror the adjacent window in terms of height, but it will mirror the double hung
and the trim level. Yes.
In terms of trim level and sills and thickness of whatever the vertical pieces are called, it will mirror the other double hung windows.
Correct.
Okay, this is wonderful. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Gerald. Jim Deviney, any questions?
No, I love this house. I never saw that house before, and I was awfully glad to call attention to that little bit of trim, that little sawtooth kind of trim that goes across the middle of the house there. That caught my attention. One of the first things I noticed was that. But because I noticed that, I noticed that the windows are kind of unusual. First of all, because they have that little red bead that goes in them. And then the top of the window is kind of the shingles come down and sort of cover where the top of the window would be. And I thought that was very unusual. And but yet that little sawtooth thing that I referred to is right across there. So obviously it's part of the design of the house. So the window that's illustrated here, and I know it's mostly just to indicate the placement of a window, but I was concerned about the window matching these other things about the house, that with that little red bead and that little detailing that goes across above the windows that sort of hides the top part of the window. So there's no, I don't know what the window parts are called at this point, but that it almost hangs down over the window a little bit. And I like that. So I hope that's how that window is going to be done. Beyond that, I have no other question.
Okay.
I apologize for my rendering. We were kind of rushing with some last minute tweaks, and I grabbed a picture of the window from online and didn't adjust it as much as I did originally. So, but yes,
it's all good. We get the idea.
So yeah, just to get on record, so it's understood or agreed with Jim about also matching the little red bead and.
So the red bead is actually from a storm that's applied to the outside of some of the windows. So, woo, my chair went. So Paul, I don't know what the
there's no, this is a modern window that's going in. There would be no use for a storm. So it would be counterproductive, I think, to put a storm there.
Okay. Mr. Deviney, any other questions?
No, I guess not.
Okay. Kajana?
Let me ask the other part that Jim was talking about, the way the shingles came down in an unusual way, or the top of the window frame. Is there an intent to kind of match that approach with this new window as well?
We'll, until I really get in and remove the slider that we're looking at, we are going to do everything that we can to match the way the other windows of the house on the first floor are integrated with that little detail of the cedar shingles above. So if they are on a plane, and it looks like they are on a plane that is proud of the wall beneath them, then they'll remain that way. We're not going to probably be getting into changing structure in order, but I don't think we'll need to. It's a little odd from this picture for me to see. It looks like the head trim of the slider looks like it's flush with the little cedar cut detail, but I'm not really sure how that would. I can't see well from this picture because the plane underneath it seems like it's set back a little. So we will most likely be, well, we will not most likely, we will be in the plane of the lower section of the wall. So that means the cedar above is going to have that cedar detail, that little sawtooth detail. They're not going to be on the same plane, the two walls. So that's going to create that little mini overhang above the new window, if that makes any sense.
It does. Tom, did you have any other questions?
No. I mean, if the board understands it, like about that, just Jim asked that question and it wasn't clear whether it's answered, whether it be sawtooth shingle approaching the top of the window or not. And it sounds like the answer is it depends on where the window will line up.
Well, I think we could also, if the rest of the board members agree to it, we could put in our motion that, all the siding details need to match or the existing ones. Depending on where that window goes, I guess that would cover it, right?
Yes, the only way that wouldn't happen, which I don't see how this is possible, except for that was an addition in of itself where the slider is.
Right.
Is if the plane of the wall where the current slider is somehow proud of the wall to the right of it, which I don't see how that would be the case. So that means our window is going to go flush against that lower section, which is going to automatically make the upper section a little bit proud, which will create the space for us to put that sawtooth detail in. I just wish I was standing there looking at it, but I think what you're asking for is what in reality the house is also asking for. Like it's set up for that detail to be carried across.
Okay.
Yep.
Kajana Crawford, any questions for the applicant?
No, my questions have been answered. Thank you for a very good proposal, and the house has a lot of character. I wish you well with it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kajana. I'm next. I have no questions. Isaac Brocker, questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, and a lot of them have been answered, and I'm glad to hear that everyone else has asked about the proportion of the trim around the perimeter, because that was when the photos of your house actually don't do it justice until you actually see it in person. Just the detailing of the trim around the windows is just so, the scale of it is so fine. I'm glad we're going to be replicating that. But I did notice it looked like all of the other windows are leaded glass. Is that correct?
No, on the rear of the building, the house has the double hung windows for, I think, every single window with the exception of the one to the right. So that would have been the formal dining room, and then to the back, I'm not quite sure where the original wall ended. It was like a butler's pantry, and the rest of the kitchen on the opposite side on the first floor has the double hung windows as well.
Okay. I just I only saw it from the street, so I couldn't see around the back, and it was hard to, on those
It's a
leaded
little
glass.
bit of snow.
They're dark anyway, so you really can't see the caming in the windows. So I wasn't sure. And Chris, could you go to the rear elevation? I had one comment on that proposed.
Page 5, this page?
No, the one that showed what they're proposing on the rear. Yeah, this one. My only concern about this is that if you look to when you're infilling that door, I'm concerned about the expanse of solid wall on the first floor. It looks a little bit like it looks like it was some sort of addition. It looks like an addition when you have like that much solid space. And I know that there's a shower there being proposed. But I would encourage you to look at some other fenestration or opening on that portion of the facade.
Would it be possible that we were planning on having some gardening work in the back and possibly having like a lattice or something, that wasn't necessarily a part of the house, but was in that negative space that, carried off some of the detailing that's in like the porch that faces the front of or that faces Dartmouth. There's like a little bit of a detail on how the wooden railing is, but maybe replicating some of that in a trellis with some plantings and some greenery.
I think that could be appropriate. Yeah, and you do see that around Rochester and some other homes. I mean, I'd have to look at some of the detailing on this one to look at it closer to see particularly like what, but I think that's something that definitely could be a good solution.
Okay. I mean, that would be something that wouldn't necessarily be physically attached to the house, but more an accessory once the renovation was completed. So as long as that's, I don't want a big empty space there either. So like something that is in the space that feels like it was part of that time period, I think would be appropriate. And to have some sort of, happy little green vine growing on, a yellow lattice or even a red lattice would look lovely, I think, in that spot.
Kelly, does that show that the detail you're talking about, does that show in those images we have with the front?
Go to the front of the house, I think you can see the porch. Yes, so see that cute little detail?
The diamond shape.
The little diamond shape, so like a diamond shaped lattice in the back, I think would look adorable.
On page 5, we were showing the front. This is just for the public record, I have to say this. Page 5, it's the front.
Yeah, I think something like that can be appropriate. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but yeah, that is something. If obviously sometimes showers and windows, water and wood don't mix, so I think that could be something that would be appropriate and help look like it wasn't just a mistake on the backside of the house.
Now, I will say though, on the front of the house, if you can, as you see there on the street view, there is a fairly large expanse of just cedar shakes. There's that little small circular window on the second floor, second and a half floor, whatever the heck floor it is. Still haven't decided. But there is a large swath of just the cedar shakes on that side. So it's not completely out of the blue.
Yeah, but I think there is a little bit, having that window, that even though it is a small window, I think having that relief from the expansive shingle of shakes does do something. And you could look at something maybe like that could be an appropriate size for a window in your, if you were doing a window in the shower.
So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards something that's applied to the exterior, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, I don't know what everybody else on the board thinks, but that was just the thing that caught my eye when I was looking at the rear. And that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Deborah Beardsley, questions?
No, I don't have any questions or comments beyond what has already been said. I think this is a really great proposal overall, and it's very appropriate for the neighborhood and also for the house. One reason I feel the trellis that's just been discussed could help out a lot as well is that on the proposed rear view of the building where the second group of sliders is taken away, it really calls attention to how offset the stairway is to the door. So I think that mitigates a little bit of that, but I don't have additional questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice
Thank
proposal.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if the board members have no further questions, I'll go to Chris Snyder and see if we have any public testimony.
We do have one public comment that came in for this application on Tuesday, February 16th. Dear Preservation Board, I am in favor of the homeowner's request. The materials used are far superior, robust to last while preserving the architectural values too. It will also aid in the comfort of the occupants of the house. Sincerely, Steve Curran, Senior Product Design Engineer of General Motors. So that's the only public comment that we received. All public comments were required to come in by 5 p.m. Yesterday, March 2nd, to be included in the public record.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, you have the opportunity to rebut if you'd like. You don't have to, but you have the right to.
I just think it's very sweet. I know it's very easy oftentimes to submit angry letters of things we don't approve of, but it's really nice when someone goes the extra mile to say, I like this and thank you and good luck. So thank you, Mr. Curran.
All right, thank you, Kelly. And Chris Snyder, we will close. Did you want to close this case to the public?
Yes.
And
yep. So we'll close this. We'll close this to the public, and then we're going to go into deliberations now. In deliberations, there is no interaction from the public or the applicant, and board members will discuss and vote.
Great. Thank you, Chris. So Kirsten, we'll start with you. Your thoughts, please.
Given the changes that are being made on the interior of the house, I think that the exterior changes make a lot of sense. As I've already said, I approve of the materials matching in kind. I think that that ledge detail that we've discussed to carry that through and across is the right thing to do. The rear of the house, the removal of the door, it doesn't really bother me. I can't describe why it doesn't. It's just the lining up of the bay window above that it doesn't bother me so much. And it just, I'm fine with the proposal as it stands.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Gam, your thoughts, please.
I'm with Kirsten. I think this is an excellent proposal. What goes through my head is the architect and the homeowner are both very concerned to match original materials and original design. And to the extent there's some imbalance on the rear of the house, it's the rear of the house. It's not visible from the street, as the 7 of us know. And even though it's not visible from the street, they're still making a heroic effort to make sure things are matching. And I would defer more on the rear of the house than on the front or sides of the house taking place inside. So I support the application as written.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Jim Deviney, what are your thoughts, please?
I'm prepared to support this proposal as written. I think the concerns have been raised. I think that we can proceed in good faith with these people because they seem to have their head in the right place as far as preserving the textures and the nature of the house.
Very good. Thank you. Kajana Crawford.
I'm comfortable with the proposal going forward. It's very well written, and I'm excited about the renovations.
All right. Thank you very much. I would be next. I'm also prepared to support this the way it is. I think it's a great project. Very well done. Very well thought of. As far as the doors in the back are concerned, I'm fine with it as well. I might just, for safekeeping, throw in our motion that all, and I know they want to do it anyway, but it just wouldn't hurt to put it in there, that they would match all siding details appropriately. Isaac.
I'm in support of the proposal as designed. I think it does a good job of matching the existing details, but I would still like to see something on the back. But I think it's the back of the house. It's fine. I just think that way it would add another layer of detail to the house.
Okay, and Deborah Beardsley.
As I said earlier, I would support this application as presented. And Chris, in addition to including a mention that the siding details should match, I also think the window details should match.
Great.
I think it's an excellent proposal and in full support.
Okay. Well, would someone like to give me a motion?
I motion that in the case of A-037-20-21, residents of 220 Dartmouth Street, to remove 2 siding glass doors at the rear addition of this single-family house and to infill the eastern side of the addition to match the existing exterior building wall and finishes, and to install an exterior composite wood window at the north wall of this addition.
And did you want to also add to match all siding and window details?
Yes, and that all composite would match existing siding and details.
Great.
Second.
A motion has properly been made by Kajana Crawford and properly seconded by Kirsten Solberg. I will call out each member, and please tell me if you're yay or you will vote yay or nay for this motion. And we will start with Kirsten Solberg.
I vote yay.
Kirsten Solberg votes yay for the motion. Gerald Gamm.
I vote yay.
Gerald Gamm also votes yay for the motion. Jim Deviney.
I also vote yay.
Jim Deviney votes yay for the motion. Kajana Crawford.
Yay.
Kajana Crawford votes yay for the motion. I would be next. Christopher Coretta. I do vote yay for the motion. Isaac Brocker.
I vote yay.
Isaac Brocker votes yay for the motion. And Deborah Beardsley.
I vote yay.
Deborah Beardsley votes yay for the motion. That would be 7 unanimous yays. Thank you very much for the application. It's a great house, and good luck with it. That will close this case. And Chris Snyder, when you get everything ready for the next case, please feel free to call it.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Case 3 is file number A-038-20-21 for a certificate of appropriateness, 676 to 680 South Avenue. The purpose is to install a 9 square foot externally illuminated sign reading Poke Sushi at the southern tenant space, to review a 10 square foot externally illuminated sign and a 1 square foot window sign previously installed at the northern tenant space reading Harry G's New York Delicatessen. All board members present have visited this site.
Very good. Okay. Do we have Adam Hilton with us? Hamilton, excuse me. Is Adam Hamilton with us?
Chris, there's a message from Adam in chat.
I did. I saw that. So I was assuming he was with us. Adam?
Yes, hello. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. There you are. Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry about that.
No problem. It's all good. It's all good. And will Allegra Lucci be with us as well tonight?
I'm here. And I also have Teresa Wilcox here with me, who is my boss and the operator of Harry G's.
Okay. Will they all be giving testimony this evening?
I'm assuming she'll have questions she'll answer as well. Yes, she's sitting off screen right here.
Teresa Wilcox. Okay, so there'll be 3 of you, and I need to swear all 3 of you in. That's why I'm asking. Okay, great. Thank you. Let's start with Adam Hamilton. Adam Hamilton, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Allegra Lucci, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And Teresa Wilcox, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great. Thank you very much. And we are ready for your application and presentation.
Do you want to have us start on behalf of Harry G's, or would you like Adam to go first?
However you'd like to do it.
Adam, why don't you get started?
Okay. Yeah. I once again I do apologize to the panel. I was confused on the date. I was unable to go over any of the YouTube proceedings that Mr. Snyder put me onto. So what is the first piece of information, or how should I begin?
Well, just kind of give us an overview of what you plan to do.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So basically, I just want to put the Lexan sushi sign that's in the report just right in the center of the, I think, was it the little inlet above the porch, I guess you could call it. Yep, there you go. Just pretty much just right there, positioned with a bit of backlighting, just like the old, the business that used to be here was Bonsai Sushi. I'm just basically trying to mimic exactly what they had because it fits in the space very well. And I think that having a nice light behind it will just show our existence, obviously, to the customers better and be more aesthetically pleasing.
And so for people following along on their hard copies, we're looking at page 9.
Thank you. Adam, anything else on the Poke Sushi sign?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Obviously, if you have any questions for me, just feel free to ask direct, and we could just go over from there. It's quite simple.
Will do, and I appreciate that. For the sake of saving time, we'll also now go to the other sign, and then we can ask questions. All board members can ask questions on either or to maybe save a little bit of time. So if you wanted to give us a presentation on the next sign, please.
All right, thank you.
So previously, the old owners of Harry G's hung up this sign, so I don't have a lot of information on who installed it or who designed it, as we took over this business in August of 2020, late August of 2020. So the sign was pre-existing. It does meet all of the requirements per the certificate of appropriateness with the square footage and such. I believe that the only thing that there may be a problem with is how it is hung parallel to the wall instead of perpendicular like the other ones, which is also how Adam wants to hang his sign. I believe the reason that that was done was to keep this detail on the facade of the building, to maintain it since it's a historical part of the building. And with the large windows and then what's above leading up to the residential, it would prevent maintaining the historical features of the building to hang it parallel to the wall, which is why I believe it's mounted like that. There are several other signs. I believe Adam on page, I'm sorry. On page 11, he has a back view, and then on page 14, and I believe this is 13, shows some of the other signs that are on here, like the Liberty Tax sign. I also posted a better photo of the Hedonist sign, which is on page 26. And then there's a sign further down South Ave on the other side that I uploaded a photo of on page 27, where the signs are mounted like that. Those signs are a little bit bigger. The square footage actually takes up a lot more space than our signs do. But I think that we are meeting the requirements of the pedestrian sign size. And unfortunately, we're meeting this roadblock with Adam because the previous tenant didn't fulfill their requirement in getting this permit. So hopefully we can just move forward and Adam can get his sign as well.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. We appreciate it. I'll go down in order, alphabetical order of all the board members, and if they have any questions for you, they'll ask. So we'll start with Deborah Beardsley. Deborah, do you have any questions for either of the applicants?
I do. Let's see. There are a couple quick questions. So with the Poke Sushi sign, my understanding is it's going to be mounted either identically or very, very similar to the Harry G's sign, correct? In terms of the bracketing and the way, the framing, all of that, the armature for the sign?
Yes, ma'am.
I was reading the specs here that are in our packet, and I just wanted a little bit more detail from you.
Sure.
It says printed decal with gloss laminate applied to a 1/4 inch value bond fastened to custom fabricated 1-inch aluminum angle bracket. So my question is,
And that's
Can
on
you
which
just-
page, Deborah? I'm sorry.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, it's handwritten page 9.
Page nine.
Yep, sorry about that, Chris.
No problem. Thanks.
I'm wondering, I'm wondering, Adam, if you could give us a little bit more detail. Let me see, I want to be specific here.
Yeah.
So if the laminate, if the decal is laminated to the 1/4 inch value bond board, can you tell me, are the edges of that board white as well? The short edges?
So the picture that you're looking at, it's circular. It's exactly just like that. So you mean the edges of what we're looking at right now on page 9, the front of the sign?
So you have the front of the sign, and then there's a 1/4 inch thickness. I'm wondering if the 1/4 inch is white as well, or if that
It is, yeah.
it's exposed board.
The material, it's basically like a sticker on like a vinyl on the Lexan, which is the material is like a translucent white itself. So yeah, it's just literally a sticker sitting there just so you can like backlight it. It's good to get light through. That's what the Lexan material is good for.
So it's, yeah, I read that somewhere in the packet. So it's basically a white decal, white and red decal on a white board.
Pretty much. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's my question for now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah. Isaac Brocker, any questions for either of the applicants?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, I am next. I have no questions either. Kajana Crawford?
I have no questions.
Thank you, Kajana. Jim Davini, any questions for either applicant?
I have no questions.
And Gerald Gam, any questions?
None at all. This is incredibly straightforward application.
Great. And Kirsten Solberg?
Questions, thank you.
No questions. Very good. So if the board members have no further questions, we'll turn it over to Chris Snyder. If there's any public testimony.
There is no public testimony for this case, so we will go into deliberations. I want to say for the public testimony portion that all written public comment needed to be into our office by 5 p.m. yesterday to be included in the public record. And now moving into deliberations, there is, excuse me, no, the public are not to speak, or the applicant are not to speak during deliberations. It's only for the board members to discuss and vote.
Great. Thank you. We will start with Deborah. Deborah, your thoughts on both signs, please.
Okay, I think both signs are high quality. They have a lot of good spirit. They're nicely diverse and appropriate for the neighborhood. And I also think that the style of the signs is in keeping with other signs seen along South Ave. And I'm really happy for the individuality of all of those signs along that avenue because it adds to the street life. I think it's a very appropriate application. I appreciate the care given to it.
Great. Thank you, Deborah. Isaac Brocker, your thoughts, please.
I agree with everything Deborah said. I think it's a great proposal. I think the scale of the signs is appropriate to the building and the storefront, and I fully support this as designed.
Thank you. I would be next. I also fully support this the way it's presented. I think that it hits all of our design guidelines, and Deborah said everything beautifully. Kajana?
I support it too. I have nothing to add. It's a very good proposal.
Thank you. Mr. Davini?
Yeah, I'm ready to support this. The South Wedge is an interesting place. It's so funky over there, and I like the energy and the color and the excitement that these signs seem to bring to the buildings, and it seems entirely appropriate for the neighborhood.
Great, thank you. Gerald Gam.
I completely support it too. I think my colleagues have already done a great job explaining how these signs contribute to the character of the South Wedge and the commercial district on South Avenue. Only thing I'd add, because it came up, is The fact that the sign runs parallel to the street rather than perpendicular to it, I actually like that aspect of the sign. I like it because it's how many of the signs work on those blocks of South Avenue. And I think it works especially well for that structure because of how deeply recessed the entrances are. And so I like that the sign comes out to the same plane as the display windows, and just think the two signs, their design and their placement work really well.
Great. And Kirsten Solberg, your thoughts, please.
Same comments. I like that it floats and that it doesn't obstruct the architecture. But that being said, my only request would be if we'd be interested in having them find a way to black out the brackets so that they really do have kind of that floating quality to them and that you don't see the two aluminum pieces coming down. That would be my one suggestion.
I agree, and I wanted to know that too.
Yeah, I like that idea. And it could be as simple as just painting them, right, Kirsten?
Whatever it takes, just to, so you don't see two aluminum lines.
Deborah, I think you said something that may have been cut out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was rather rude on my part. I was just saying that I agree with what Kirsten said about the brackets, and I intended to mention that as well.
Okay, great. All right, well, would someone like to give me a motion?
Oh, well, this is Deborah. That's okay with everybody?
Yep, we're ready.
I'd like to make the motion that case number 3A0382021 at 676 to 680 South Avenue. The proposal for installing a 9 square foot externally illuminated hanging sign reading Poke Sushi at the southern tenant space, and also to review a 10 square foot externally illuminated sign and a 1 square foot window sign previously installed at the northern tenant space reading Harry G's New York Delicatessen be approved as presented, with the requirement that the bracket for the Poke Sushi sign is painted black in whatever way is appropriate, by whatever means is appropriate.
Deborah, quick question for you and Kirsten. Did we have concerns about the bracket on the Harry G's sign?
No.
Okay.
I would paint them both if you could.
I thought the Harry G's was black already, no?
If it is, then great.
Okay.
I don't remember.
It's tough to tell, but maybe we could just for safety put it in the motion, if
Sure,
everyone's cool with that.
Yeah, I see. And I see the photo now. Reminder. So I would like to add that both brackets for both signs, the Harry G's sign as well as the Poke Sushi sign, are both treated to be black in whatever manner is appropriate.
Second.
So a motion has been made by Deborah Beardsley and properly seconded by Gerald Gam. I'll call out each member and ask them if their vote is yay or nay for the motion. And we will start with Deborah. Deborah Beardsley, how do you vote on the motion?
I vote yay.
Deborah Beardsley votes yay. Isaac Brocker?
I vote yay.
Isaac Brocker votes yay. Christopher Coretta would be me. I vote yay on the motion. Kajana Crawford?
Yay.
Kajana Crawford votes yay on the motion. Jim DeVinny?
I vote yay.
Jim DeVinny votes yay on the motion. Gerald Gam?
I vote yay.
Gerald Gam also votes yay on the motion. And Kirsten Solberg?
I vote yay.
Kirsten Solberg votes yay. That's a unanimous 7 votes. That will end the third case. Thank you very much. And Chris Snyder, whenever you get everything ready for the fourth and final case, please call it forward.
Thank you, Chris. The next case, case 4, is the last case tonight. File A-039-20-21 for a certificate of appropriateness. This address is 101 Westminster Road, and the purpose is to legalize the replacement of an historic wood and historic painted second-story porch railings with the proposal of a new porch railing design, and to replace previously removed landscaping in the front yard with new landscape plantings proposed as part of a landscape plan for the front yard of this multifamily dwelling. All board members present have visited this site.
Great. Thanks, Chris. So we have, it looks like according to the staff report, we have two people presenting. It would be Katie Garfinkel and David Burrows. Is that correct?
I'm David Burrows. I'm here. I believe Katie Garfinkel will be here. She knows about the landscaping portion of this. I'm here to present the information about the baluster.
Okay, great. Is Katie with us?
I'm here.
Okay. I just need to swear you both in. We'll start with Katie. Katie, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And David Burrows, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great. Thank you both. And we are ready to hear your presentation.
Katie, would it be all right if I started with the baluster part of this?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So I'm David Burrows. I'm an architect, and I was asked by Katie to help her present an application for replacement of the baluster over the entrance of 101 Westminster. Prior to my getting involved, Katie had a contractor remove the deteriorated original wood baluster and replace that with a pressure treated and aluminum baluster, which you can see in the photographs on page A3. Yeah, let's see, there you next one, there you go. So what's in the right view is its current condition, and as you can tell, that looks not much like its original version, which is evident in the photograph on the left. The photograph on the left is what I got from the upstairs tenant. That's the only evidence that we have of how it used to be. All of the original wood baluster was removed and disposed of, so all we have is the photograph. So I measured the whole front entrance and sent my drawings with this photograph to two porch baluster companies, and the one that we focused on, American Wood Porch, the American Porch. Let's see, American Porch. They provided copies of their replacement products that most closely matched what was originally there. So I designed the replacement baluster on those products, which now looks very much like the original photograph. So those drawings are elsewhere in the set. I've got a building section and elevations. So we should be able to replace pretty exactly the original wood baluster after we remove the pressure treated wood and aluminum baluster system. And after we remove there is actually a plywood floor up there now that this contractor installed. That plywood floor is installed on a set of wood sleepers. So we'll remove the sleepers and the plywood and repair the roof membrane. In the worst case scenario, we would have to remove the membrane and replace it, but it will look more like its original roof. So, and of course, this will be cedar. It will be painted white. It will look as close as we can make it to the original, if not exactly like the original. We've got a few contractors in mind who have done this kind of thing before, and we'll have them submit proposals to do this work. And that's all I think I have to say. I'll be welcome to any questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Burrows. Katie, did you want to say anything at all?
I just wanted to give a little background as to why this has been such a project. My dad was actually the owner of this property. He owned it since I think about 2006. He recently passed away in 2019. So the property kind of just fell in my lap with no previous property ownership. I had no experience in it. So when I became the manager, the property still is in probate, so I'm not the owner yet. So when I became the manager, the property was neglected for years, for probably about 5 years, I'd say. And the balcony was completely deteriorated and pretty dangerous. So that's, I hired somebody obviously who had no experience really in doing a balcony like this. And I wasn't aware that I had to go through this whole process of getting approved by the board. So I had no ill intentions of going above anybody's head. I just wasn't sure of the process. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Did anyone want to talk about the landscaping at all, or give us any quick rundown on the landscaping?
Oh, that's Katie's.
So what was there previously were like overgrown bushes. So I did, after I tore down the balcony, I ripped out the plants. I wanted to put in all new landscaping. Here is, I kind of put together a little key and drawing for where the proposed landscaping will be.
And that's pages 8 through 10, just for reference. Go ahead, sorry.
So they're pretty, the plants that I've proposed are pretty original to the neighborhood. Also, I already have some plants that are still in there that I'm just gonna get another copy of. There's Rose of Sharon, rhododendron, 2 snow mountain spireas, 4 drop seeds, and 1 dwarf mountain laurel that I plan on planting. It's just going to be really low maintenance but modern landscaping.
Okay, great. Well, thank you both for the presentation. We'll go through to the board members for any questions they may have. We'll start with Kirsten Solberg. Any questions, Kirsten, for the applicants?
Sure. So Katie, I appreciate your coming to the board with this. My first question, and this might be outside of the jurisdiction of the board, is I see a door out there and chairs. There's nothing indicated on the elevations what the height of this railing is going to be, but it almost serves as a guardrail, which by code has to be a certain height, which does not seem to be what the condition would have been in the original rail that went around. I have to imagine that this was never meant to be a sitting porch, if you will. So just questioning, what is the height that we're proposing? David, maybe you can address that.
I can answer that. I believe that this will be.
Oh, there is a dimension there.
There's a dimension on it. 3 foot. Let's see. Maybe
That high?
better I can. It's higher than it looks. 3 foot 3 3/4 to the top of the railing, so it's over 3 feet. So
and we think sorry, you think that that's what it was? Do we think that's what it was originally?
Yes, because there are there are paint ghosts on the brick, and it was that high.
Okay.
So fortunately, it meets code.
It's just interesting that it's being used like that. You know what I mean?
Right. The door was put in.
It previously was a window. Someone made it into a door and then a balcony.
That. My other question was, and I'm asking this because I have a similar condition on my own house. I see that you're putting on an Epdm roof potentially. If you look at the old photo and the new photo, notoriously, I'm wondering how you're going to address that drip edge around the perimeter. You can see in the old photo and the new photo, the new is very kind of a
Sure.
very clunky flashing,
Well-
or what's the detail there?
Yes, well, the reason the new one looks so clunky is that it's covering up plywood and sleepers.
Sleepers.
So it's built up from the old roof.
Mhm.
So the solution will be take it back down to its original level. And, you know, hopefully the original drip edge is still there and still intact. So we'll salvage that. If we can't, we'll replace it, but it'll just be a minimal metal drip edge, like it would have
Okay.
been originally, probably copper.
And how does the roof drain?
Now, interestingly, there's a gutter that you can see, especially in the right photograph. And I don't know if that's PVC or,
Oh, yeah.
but it's odd. However, I have to say I haven't explored that much because you can't tell what's up there because of the plywood. There may have been an original gutter and downspout that it's still there. So whatever is there, we'll discover when we pull off the plywood and reconnect if it still works.
Thank you.
Sorry. There is an original gutter towards the left of the building. It is
I
the
see that.
plywood is covering it up right now, but the original one is still there because we were having a drainage issue actually.
I was going to say, I have an issue on mine where it's deteriorating the front step. So
Yeah.
just something to be aware of. But those are my questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirsten. Gerald Gam, any questions?
My only question is about the color that is proposed, that the new balustrade is going to be painted. You said white. I assume you mean whatever the shade of white is that.
Yes, it will
column-
match. I mean, in these photographs, go ahead, Katie.
Sorry, David, I didn't mean to interrupt
That's all
you.
right.
It's actually more of a yellowish color, but we'll be able to color match it at Home Depot to that exact color.
But Katie, that was my exact question. So you're not just
Yep.
going to go out and get white paint. You're going to make sure.
No,
the color of the
no,
balustrade
it will be the
matches.
exact color. Yep.
Perfect. And I just want to say, I love this project. Obviously, the first attempt at replacing the railing up there wasn't successful. So I appreciate as a member of this board that you're now working with this architect and you've come up with a design that replicates so closely what was originally there.
Thank you, Gerald. Jim Davini, any questions for the applicants?
No, I think it's a great house, and I'm glad to see that balustrade being placed back to close to what it used to be.
Okay, great. Thank you. Kajana Crawford, any questions?
A great project. I had the same question about the color, so it was answered. Great project. Good luck.
Thank you, Kajana. I would be next. Also think it's a great project. I assume that parapet, that aluminum parapet that's just kind of flopping will be removed when you redo the membrane.
Right, because that's covering up the plywood and the sleepers.
Gotcha.
So yes, it will be removed.
Gotcha. That was my only question. Thank you. Isaac, any questions for the applicants?
No, I think everybody's covered the questions I had. I think this is a great project and it's a big improvement from what is there now. And I think it's going to be a great addition to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Deborah Beardsley, any questions?
No questions. I think it's an excellent proposal and it's very appropriate.
Great, thank you.
I
All right.
have one question for our code inspector. One, has this been looked at in terms of the height being okay and the for being a porch like this? Yeah.
From the code perspective, we would accept the historical height. So if there's some way to scale it to figure that out, we would accept that.
Okay.
You have to meet the current code.
Okay. And it sounds from the testimony that they did that by uncovering evidence about the painting marks
Right.
from the prior ones. So,
Mhm.
okay,
That would be acceptable.
thanks.
Great. If the board has no further questions, we'll go to Chris Snyder and see if there's any public testimony.
Yes, there is one comment of public testimony that was submitted on February 16th. This comes from Gail Fountain. Gail writes, "The property that is proposing a project at 101 Westminster is our neighbor, and we often have occasion to pass by the house, so have witnessed the progress and improvement being made. One can see that there is a thoughtful and genuine effort being put forth to improve the look of the home and contribute to the quality of the neighborhood. Walking by the other neighbors, there are always positive comments and appreciation for both the replaced deck and for the removal of overgrown and unattended plants at the front of the house. We are optimistic that the owner is continuing with these noticeable improvements and appreciate that the appearance and quality of the house has greatly improved through the owner's works and efforts. Thank you, Gail Fountain." This was the only public comment we received. All public comments were required to be received by our office 5 p.m. March 2nd, which was yesterday.
Great, thank you. Katie or David, if you'd like to rebut anything that was said, you're more than welcome to.
No, I don't have anything.
No, and I think, thank you all for your attention and your interest in this and for your feedback.
Great, thank you. With that, we'll close the public portion and we'll go to Chris Snyder.
So we're going to go into deliberations now. We're going to close the public hearing of this item. During deliberations, members of the public and the applicant are not permitted to speak, and the board will discuss the case and vote.
Very good. We will start with Kirsten Solberg.
I would support the proposal as it stands, just adding in the line about restoring or replacing the drip edge to its original condition.
Great. Do you think that it fulfills or follows our guidelines?
I think it replaces in kind with the existing condition, and yeah, it's really a replacement in kind of restoring it back to its original.
Great, thank you. Gerald Gamm.
I agree with Kirsten. This is a well-intended and well-executed effort to restore the original character to the house. A decision was made recently to remove a balustrade that's probably original to the house and important to the front facade. And the homeowner, working with an architect, has gone back to images of the original balustrade and has worked, diligently to reconstruct that, which is exactly what we want to have done in a preservation district to respect the history and integrity of the house. So I completely support this.
Thank you, Gerald. Jim Deviney.
I support this proposal for all the same reasons that Gerald just named.
Great, thank you. And Kajana Crawford.
I support this proposal.
Thank you, Kajana. And I would be next. I also support this proposal. I would add what Kirsten talked about the drip edge, but other than that, I completely support it. I think it's very appropriate. Isaac?
I agree with all the comments and amendments to the proposal. I think it's a great project and look forward to seeing it completed.
Thank you. And Deborah Beardsley?
I'm in support of this application. We've talked mainly about the upper porch and the railings. We haven't really mentioned the landscaping at all. I think the landscaping plan is suitable as is, and I'm assuming the rendering's a little rough, but I'm assuming that would be smoothed out, equalized out across each side of the house.
Great. Thank you very much, and thanks for bringing up the landscaping. Okay, how about a motion?
I'll do a motion. I'd like to propose for file number 039-2021 to support the proposal as it stands to replace the current wood railing with a more appropriate historic wood and painted second-story porch railing with the new railing design as proposed to match the historic photos, that the roof will be repair, replace EPDM, and likewise drip edge to be repaired, replaced in kind to the historic condition. With paint to match the existing trim and landscape as proposed.
Very good. Motion has been made by Kirsten Solberg and properly seconded by Kajana Crawford. I'll call out each member's name. Please tell me if you vote yay or nay for the motion. And we'll start with Kirsten Solberg.
Yay.
Kirsten Solberg votes yay. Gerald Gam.
I vote yay.
Gerald Gam votes yay for this motion. Jim Deviney.
I vote yay.
Jim Deviney votes yay. Thank you. Kajana Crawford.
Yay.
Kajana Crawford votes yay. Thank you, Kajana. I would be next, Christopher Coretta. I vote yay for this motion. Isaac Brocker.
I vote yay.
Isaac Brocker votes yay for this motion. And Deborah Beardsley.
I vote yay.
Deborah Beardsley votes yay. That would be 7 votes yay, unanimous. That passes. Thank you very much. That would close the 4th case and final case. Thank you, everyone, for attending the Preservation Board meeting this month. Chris?
Thank you, everyone. So this, as Chris said, this concludes the hearing. The next hearing is scheduled for April 7th, 2021. It is scheduled to be a virtual meeting streamed to the Mayor Office's YouTube page, and any changes to that will be noted on the city website. If you had any questions regarding this hearing or Rochester Preservation in general, you can email staff at preservationboard@cityofrochester.gov. Thank you.